Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are looking at something that is arguably one of the most pervasive objects in the modern world.
Oh, absolutely.
You can walk into a high-end hotel bar in Tokyo, a dusty roadside tavern in Texas, or a duty-free shop in Dubai, and you will almost certainly see this specific silhouette.
It's unavoidable.
It's a square bottle, the label is slanted at exactly 24 degrees, and it features a very well-dressed man walking with a serious amount of purpose.
It is a design that just screams consistency. You know exactly what it is from across the room. We are talking, of course, about Johnnie Walker.
Right. I feel like everyone knows the face, right? You see the striding man, the colors, red label, black label, blue label.
Yeah, the whole lineup.
But I'll be honest, until we started digging into these sources for today, I didn't really know the actual story.
Most people don't.
I assumed it was just some corporate invention. I didn't realize this massive global icon started with a literal teenager in a small Scottish grocery store.
It is a remarkable journey. And honestly, the whole corporate part really only comes much later.
So just to give you an overview of what we are doing today, our sources include historical archives detailing the Walker family's origins, deep dives into their technical blending philosophies, and a full breakdown of their current product portfolio.
Which is vast.
Right, including all those limited editions and partnerships. Our mission here is to unpack the art of blending. We want to understand why blending was originally done for, well, consistency, not luxury, and how that famous blue label completely redefined the high-end market.
Because the word blending is going to come up a lot today, and I think for a lot of people, maybe even you listening, the word blend sounds like a dirty word in the whiskey world.
Yeah, exactly. Like single malt is the good stuff, and blend is it's just the leftovers mixed together.
And that is the absolute most common misconception we need to shatter today. We need to understand the art of blending not as a compromise, but as a very deliberate craft.
It wasn't originally done to be fancy, right?
No, not at all. It was done to solve a very specific, very annoying problem.
Okay, so let's go back to the source of that problem.
Yeah.
We are in Kilmarnock, Scotland. The year is 1820. Introduce us to the man himself, John Walker.
So John is young. He's only 15 when his father passes away. The family sells their farm, and they use the proceeds to set John up with a grocery store.
A pretty big responsibility for a 15-year-old.
Huge. Now, you have to understand the context of whiskey in the 1820s. If you walked into a shop back then and bought a bottle of quote-unquote whiskey, you were essentially playing Russian roulette with your palate.
Was it really that bad?
It was incredibly inconsistent. Most of it was single malt, pot still whiskey made by local farmers.
Okay.
1 week, you'd buy a bottle, and it might be delicious. You go back a week later, buy from the exact same barrel, and it could be harsh, oily, or just plain awful. There was zero quality control.
Which, if you're a grocer trying to build a loyal customer base, is an absolute nightmare. You can't sell people bad milk, and you can't sell them bad whiskey.
Exactly. John Walker wasn't trying to conquer the world. He was just trying to stop his customers from complaining.
Makes sense.
So he started using his tea blending skills because grocers blended tea back then, and he applied that to whiskey.
Oh, that's clever.
Right. He took a heavy whiskey here, a lighter one there, mixed them together to smooth out the rough edges. The goal was simple. The bottle you bought today should taste exactly like the bottle you bought last month.
So the art of blending wasn't born out of luxury or artistry. It was literally born out of customer service.
Pure utility. But the real revolution, the moment where this shifts from John's nice grocery store whiskey to a global empire, doesn't happen with John.
It happens with his son.
Yes, Alexander Walker, and a very boring-sounding piece of legislation in 1860.
Right, the Spirits Act of 1860. Now, usually when we talk about legal acts on this show, I start to glaze over. But why did this one matter so much?
Because this is the big bang for the Scotch industry. Before 1860, it was actually illegal to blend malt whiskey with grain whiskey for resale. Yeah, you could sell them separately, but you couldn't mix them in the same bottle.
Okay, pause there. We need to clarify this because I think this is where people get confused. What is the actual difference between malt and grain whiskey? Is it just the ingredients?
It's the ingredients and the process. Malt whiskey is made from malted barley and distilled in a pot still.
Okay.
It's batch produced, very flavorful, heavy, pungent, and like we said, inconsistent. It's the loud ingredient.
And grain whiskey?
Grain whiskey is made from other grains like wheat or corn, and it's distilled in a column still. This is an industrial process.
So it's continuous.
Exactly. It runs continuously. It produces a spirit that is much lighter, higher in alcohol, but less flavorful. It's smoother and, critically, much cheaper and faster to produce.
So before 1860, you had the heavy, expensive stuff and the light, cheap stuff, and never the twain shall meet.
Correct. The Spirits Act lifted that ban, and Alexander Walker saw the opportunity immediately.
He realized he could mix them.
Right. He realized that if he mixed the heavy, characterful malts with the lighter, consistent grains, he could create a product that was palatable to a much wider audience. It wasn't as aggressive as a raw, single malt.
He called it Old Highland Whiskey.
Yes, and it was a massive hit.
It sounds like he kind of industrialized the flavor profile.
I'd say he democratized it. And because he could use grain whiskey, he could scale up production massively. This allowed him to export.
And he used ship captains for that, didn't he?
He did. He started using ship captains as sales agents. He'd give them a commission to take his whiskey to wherever their ship was going.
That perfectly explains why it went global so fast. But sending bottles all around the world brings up another problem, which is breakage.
Right. And this is where the design genius comes in. Have you ever wondered why the Johnnie Walker bottle is square?
Honestly, I just assumed it looked cool.
It does look distinct, but it was purely an engineering decision. Square bottles pack tighter in a crate.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, you can fit more bottles in the exact same space, and they roll around less, so they break less often on rough sea voyages.
That is wildly practical.
Every decision was practical, even the slanted label.
The 24-degree slant.
Exactly. Why slant it? Because a slanted label allows the text to be larger and longer than if it were just horizontal. It made the brand name pop off the shelf.
So while other brands were probably trying to look aristocratic or fancy, the Walkers were just trying to be efficient and highly visible.
And that visual identity became their absolute superpower. By 1909, under Alexander's sons, they rebranded everything. Old Highland Whiskey became Red Label and Black Label.
The color coding.
Think about how incredibly smart that is in a global market. You're selling in India, in South America, in parts of Asia where English isn't the primary language.
Right, you don't need to be able to read extra special Old Highland Whiskey.
Exactly. You just need to walk into a bar and ask for the red bottle or the black bottle.
And that's also when the Striding Man shows up, right?
Yeah.
The logo.
Yes, 1909. A cartoonist named Tom Brown literally drew it on a menu card during a business lunch.
Wow.
But look at what it represents. Before this, whiskey marketing was very static. Lots of coats of arms, shields, maybe a picture of the old distillery.
Very traditional.
But this was a man walking. It symbolized progress, ambition, forward momentum.
It feels very modern. Like that's a lifestyle brand concept happening in 1909.
It was decades ahead of its time. It turned the whiskey from a simple commodity into a character.
Okay, so let's fast forward to today. The family grocery store is long gone. Johnnie Walker is now the crown jewel of Diageo, which is the biggest spirits company on the planet.
The absolute biggest.
I want to get into what that means for the liquid itself.
Yeah.
Does being owned by a massive conglomerate hurt the quality, or does it actually help it?
It's a double-edged sword for some purists, but for a master blender, it's an absolute dream. Because Diageo owns so many distilleries across Scotland, something like 28 or 29 active malt distilleries, so the Johnnie Walker blending team has access to an inventory that is simply unrivaled.
It's like a chef having the biggest, most diverse pantry in the world.
Precisely. If you are a small, independent blender, you might have to buy a few casks from here and there and hope for the best. Johnnie Walker has the Four Corners of Scotland right in their warehouse.
They talk about this Four Corners thing constantly in the sources.
Yeah.
Cardew, Kill Isla, Talisker, Glenkinchie.
Those are the pillars.
Let's break those down, because I see these names on the bottles sometimes, or I hear people talk about regions. If these are the ingredients of the blend, what does each one actually bring to the table?
Well, think of it like your spice rack. First, you have Cardew. This is a Speyside whiskey. Speyside is known for fruitiness, apples, pears, honey.
Okay, so that's the base.
Cardew is the heart of the blend. It gives it that sweet, smooth core. Then you need the seasoning. So you go to the island of Islay for Kale Isla. Now, Islay whiskeys are famous for one thing, and that is peat.
Peat. I've had peaty whiskey. It tastes like a campfire. But what is peat, actually?
It's essentially compressed, decayed vegetation found in bogs. In Scotland, they dig it up, dry it out, and burn it to dry the malted barley.
So the smoke literally bakes into the grain.
Exactly. The smoke from that burning peat gets into the grain. So Kale Isla brings that smoky, medicinal, almost iodine note to the blend.
So you've got the sweet fruit and you've got the campfire smoke. What's next?
Then you add Talisker from the Isle of Skye. That adds a maritime character. Think sea salt, white pepper, a little bit of chili heat at the back of the throat.
Nice.
And finally, you have Glenkinchie from the lowlands, which is very light, grassy, and floral. It adds the top notes, the elegance.
And the master blender's job is to take all those wildly different flavors plus the grain whiskey and make them sing together.
And not just make them sing once. Make them sing exactly the same tune year after year, despite the fact that every single barrel tastes slightly different.
That's crazy.
It's a chemical miracle. They operate on 4 principles. First, consistency. Every bottle must taste like the last. Second, balance. No single component should overpower another.
So the smoke can't drown out the fruit.
Right. Third is complexity. Many layers, but one single identity. And fourth is accessibility, meaning even complex blends should be easy to drink.
And they don't even taste it all, right? You read they just smell it. Mostly.
Yes, they nose it. A master blender might nose hundreds of samples a day without letting a drop pass their lips, just checking for off notes or specific characteristics.
Okay, let's talk about the result of all that work, the portfolio. Because if I walk into a liquor store today, I'm not just seeing red and black. I'm seeing a whole rainbow.
It can be overwhelming.
It really can be confusing. Is the red just a cheaper, worse version of the black?
Not exactly. They have very different use cases. You have to stop thinking of them as a strict hierarchy of quality and start thinking of them as tools for different jobs.
Okay, walk me through the toolkit. Let's start with Red Label.
Red Label. This is the best-selling scotch in the world. It's young, it's aggressive, it has a lot of that grain whiskey bite and a real kick of spice.
Okay.
It is not designed to be sipped neat in a leather armchair.
So if I buy Red Label to sit by the fire, I'm doing it wrong.
I mean, drink what you like, of course,
Yeah.
but it wasn't built for that. It was built to fight.
To fight?
It's designed to cut through Coca-Cola, ginger ale, or soda water. It's a mixer. It keeps its core flavor even when you heavily dilute it.
Got it. So red is the party animal. What about Black Label?
Black Label is the diplomat.
Huh?
It's aged 12 years. This is the true benchmark of the brand.
Even for snobs.
Even single malt snobs will usually nod respectfully at a Black Label. It's perfectly balanced. You get the smoke, the vanilla, the dark fruit. It's smooth enough to sip neat, but affordable enough to put in a highball if you want.
Then I see double black next to it. That sounds like a marketing gimmick.
Mm.
It's just more Black Label.
It's Black Label for the modern palate that really loves intensity. They take the Black Label DNA but age it in heavily charred oak casks, and they dial up the peaty whiskeys.
So it's smokier?
Much smokier, darker, moodier. It's for people who love that intense campfire hit we talked about.
And then there's Gold Label Reserve.
That one is sweet, honeyed, very luxurious, made with whiskeys specifically chosen for vibrant, rich flavor.
Okay, now here's where I get tripped up. Green Label. It sits right in the middle there, but I've heard people say this one is really special. Why?
Green Label is the outlier in the core range. If you look closely at the bottle, it doesn't say blended Scotch whiskey. It says blended malt Scotch whiskey.
Wait, going back to our 1860 lesson, that means no grain whiskey.
Correct. No column still grain whiskey whatsoever.
Wow.
It is a blend of nothing but single malts. Talisker, Linkwood, Cragganmore, Cale Isla. It's 15 years old.
So it's heavier.
Much heavier. For a lot of enthusiasts, this is the insider's choice because you get the incredible complexity of a blend, but the rich texture and weight of a pure malt. It represents harmony with nature.
That brings us to the big one. The bottle that's usually locked in a glass case at the store. Blue Label.
The crown jewel.
This launched in 1992. And it costs, what, 20 times more than Red Label?
Easily.
Is it actually 20 times better, or are we just paying for the heavy glass bottle and the nice velvet box?
That is the eternal question of all luxury goods. But with Blue Label, what you are fundamentally paying for is rarity.
How rare are we talking?
The statistic they use is that only 1 in 10,000 casks in their vast reserves has the specific character required for Blue Label.
Character is a pretty vague word. What are they actually looking for?
They are trying to recreate the taste of the early blends created by Alexander Walker in the 19th century.
Oh, interesting.
They want that velvety, incredibly smooth, oily texture that modern whiskey often loses. You get notes of dark chocolate, dried fruit, just a whisper of light smoke and spices.
But there's something else, too.
Yes. The real hook, the thing that justifies the price for serious collectors, is the ghost component.
Ghost distilleries. It sounds so spooky.
It's a very romantic term for a pretty sad reality. These are distilleries that have permanently closed down.
Like which ones?
Places like Port Ellen, Brora, Cambus. They were shut down usually back in the 1980s during a big economic downturn in the industry.
So the distilleries are just gone.
Often the buildings are demolished, the stills are completely gone, but Diageo still has stocks of their whiskey sitting quietly in warehouses.
So when you drink Blue Label, you're drinking something that literally cannot be made again.
Exactly. You are drinking liquid history. And that finite nature is what really drives the mystique and the price. It's a symbol of ultimate success.
But they aren't just relying on history, right? Because I feel like I've seen Johnnie Walker trying very hard to be relevant in modern culture lately.
They absolutely have to. The biggest threat to Scotch whiskey isn't bourbon or tequila, it's irrelevance.
Right.
They are fighting for the exact same luxury spend as a brand like Gucci or Louis Vuitton.
Which perfectly explains the ice chalet thing I saw in the notes.
Right, the collaboration with Perfect Moment, the luxury ski wear brand.
The bottle literally comes in a bag that turns into a crossbody purse. I mean, does that make the whiskey taste better?
No, of course not. But it puts the whiskey on the shoulder of a fashion influencer in Aspen. It's entirely about signaling.
They've done a ton of these. The Squid Game collaboration was wild.
Oh, the Pick Your Player bottle.
Yeah, they numbered the Black Label bottles 0, 0, 1 to 4, 5, 6.
It's remarkably clever. It takes a heritage brand and inserts it directly into a massive pop culture moment.
They're also doing high-end fashion stuff, right?
Yes, collaborations with designers like Robert I for the Lunar New Year, specifically the Year of the Horse, and Rahul Mishra celebrating Indian cultural tapestries.
And music, too. The partnership with Sabrina Carpenter.
Exactly, tying into her Man's Best Friend album. It tells a 25-year-old, hey, we watch the same shows you do, we listen to the same music.
It's a really long way from the Victorian grocer in Kilmarnock.
It is. But if you look at it closely, Alexander Walker was using ship captains to get his brand seen globally in the 1860s. Today, they're using Sabrina Carpenter and Squid Game.
The medium changes, but the hustle is exactly the same.
Precisely. They've also built that massive visitor experience in Edinburgh now, right on Princes Street.
Right, it's basically Disneyland for whiskey. 8 floors, rooftop bars, 5-star tours.
It cements the brand as a physical destination, not just a drink. Oh, and they also heavily promote Drink IQ now, focusing on responsible drinking, which is crucial for a modern brand.
So we've gone from inconsistent pot stills to a global blending powerhouse. As we wrap this deep dive up, what is the big takeaway? If I'm looking at that shelf of square bottles, what should I be thinking?
I think you need to appreciate the sheer technical achievement. We completely take it for granted that a Black Label tastes the exact same today as it did 10 years ago.
Right, you just expect it to.
But that requires a huge team of people constantly adjusting the recipe, swapping out casks, balancing chemistry and art, just to maintain an illusion of sameness. Blended whiskey isn't a lesser product than single malt. It is a completely different art form entirely, requiring a massive library of flavors to execute.
It's like the duck gliding on the pond, calm on the surface but paddling like crazy underneath.
That is the perfect analogy.
Yeah, I want to leave you with one final thought, specifically on the Blue Label. We talked about those ghost distilleries. Port Ellen, Brora, even with the absolute best warehousing in the world, evaporation happens. The Angel's Share takes its toll every single year.
It does.
And people are actively drinking it.
Right. Those stocks are strictly finite. One day, the very last drop of original Port Ellen will be gone.
So the flavor profile of this absolute icon, Blue Label, is effectively on a countdown clock. If it relies on stocks that no longer exist, is the flavor destined to change forever once those specific casks run dry?
In its current form, yes. They will inevitably have to evolve it. The ghosts can't haunt the warehouse forever.
Well, on that slightly existential note, grab a glass, whether it's red soda or Newport Blue, and appreciate the history in the glass. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Goodbye.